The Alpha Sessions.
So we're here on Alpha Sessions and we are joined by a phenomenal singer who I've had the pleasure of seeing live before back in February. And every time I've seen her perform, I'm absolutely blown away. So I'm excited to introduce to you Kat, everybody.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course.
It's really lovely
Thank
to be
you
here.
for coming. As I said, I was really excited that I was told that I'll be interviewing you because, like I said, I saw you perform, I think it was back in February for...
We got to share a stage, right?
Yes.
We both performed on the same night.
We did. It was for Amplify Her Live and they had an open mic. And the one thing that I'm always reminded of when I see you perform is your vocal agility and range. I'm just always so amazed by it.
Oh, thank you.
And I really wanted to ask, how long have you been performing for? And what has been your training in terms of music?
Oh, wow. So a long time.
Yeah.
It's got to be in the 20 years, I think. Yeah. I was very blessed. My vocal coach and mentor was Helena Chanel. She's Shirley Bassey's. She was Shirley Bassey's vocal coach. Yeah. She was just the best. And she became sort of like a surrogate gran as well. So yeah, I was just very lucky that I met her when I was sort of in my teens, sort of mid-teens, and that she took me under her wing, and she was an opera singer as well. Yeah. So the training, is very rambunctious and, and very much to do with vowels and stuff like that. So I'm just super grateful that was the foundation of my training.
But you can definitely hear that you've had a solid foundation in terms of your vocal training, because honestly, I think it's a lot harder to control your vocals when you're singing than it is, say, to hit a high note. And you see the vocal agility every time you perform. And I was hearing you doing your vocal warm-ups and I was like, oh my God, just listen to her. She sounds so good.
Oh,
so
thank you. Thank
you can definitely see that in your music. And I wanted to also ask, how would you describe your sound?
I think soulful with a rocky kind of edge.
Yeah.
And kind of like a bit of pop as well, isn't it? I think comes through as well. But definitely soulful pop with a rocky edge, I think I would encapsulate it.
Because I definitely hear both the soulfulness and the rocky edge in your music. And I almost hear very much 70s rock inspired sound to it, and with the soul aspect in your vocal, it's almost like a groove and a sass that you bring to the vocals.
I love that.
And yeah,
Thank you.
when I'm like listening to music, I always love like putting down words. And for me, when I was listening to your music, I heard like powerhouse and like sass and like groove and, like I said, like the 70s rock. So you definitely see that emulated in your sound, and it's cool that you're able to articulate your sound by how me as a listener can describe it as well. And I really wanted to kind of pick your brains on your process of creating music and songs.
Wow, that's a big question. I think it's changed, it's evolved.
Yeah.
Obviously, since I first started in songwriting. I think with my most recent project and collection of songs, which is my debut EP, which hopefully I'll be releasing, if not the tail end of this year, sort of early next year. Yeah. I think it was the best thing I did was kind of take the pressure off in a way, and just gave myself space and time to just allow inspiration to drop. And also, I think it was kind of like a concept album as well. I wrote it during quite a difficult period in my life, and I kind of needed that therapy that music gives you, I think, 100%. That songwriting gives you. So kind of with no pressure on, just started journaling and stuff like that, and just allowing melodies and lyrics and stuff like that kind of to drop, to kind of appear. And I think that was the best thing that I've learned. I think often it's like, oh, I've got to write a song today. Yeah. I have to finish it. It has to be amazing. But the best gift I gave myself was just take the time pressure off and allow it to really organically evolve, really, and just come into being. I mean, obviously sometimes we have deadlines,
of course,
and we have to get things done. But I think for me, I really enjoyed that process of allowing those songs, and because they came from a very raw and quite a real place, it's, I think, my body of work that I'm most proud of, that I've created.
Yeah, and we're gonna hear one of your songs, which is called Liar Liar, and
we all know one of those, don't we?
I'm really excited to hear the fruition of allowing yourself the space to be able to be creative, because I think a lot of the times as an artist we do struggle with being a perfectionist or putting pressure on ourselves to almost create the perfect song. But as you say, you need the time to allow the inspiration to fall into place, and I almost feel like certain things happen with divine timing. So
100%.
Yeah, so I'm really excited to hear this first song called Liar Liar. We'll jump right into that. So this is Liar Liar by Kat.
So you say you need some time apart to get your head straight, space to breathe and pause all the heartache. Relationships are just too much hard work. So I say, I respect your needs just like a good girl, though inside of me I'm screaming hell no. Before you know it, you're hooking up with some other chick. I'll let you go, liar, liar, though it's breaking my heart. Condemned now to the fire, there's nothing on his hurt, but I know, yeah, I know you're never gonna find a love like this. Oh, yeah, let's pretend that we didn't ever share a lifetime. Momentarily, it's just a pastime. You really weren't the man I thought you were after all. Regrets remains. Yours not my what a sad situation, but I refuse to be some consolation. I guess this really is our last goodbye. I'll let you go, liar, liar, though it's breaking my heart. Condemned now to the fire, there's nothing on his hurt, but I know, yeah, I know. You can lose yourself in the taste of others, drown under the covers, but you won't be satisfied. Tell yourself you're justified, believe your own lies, no regrets. Let fate decide. I'll let you go, liar, liar, though it's breaking my heart. Condemned now to the fire, there's nothing on his hurt, but I know.
The Alpha Sessions.
Okay, and we're back with Kat. So we just heard Liar Liar on Alpha Sessions. That song was all the sass that I wanted. All of it. And you really feel it when you're singing. And that's something that I love as an artist as well as a listener, is when you can feel when someone cares, and you see that within the lyrics and how honest you are with the words and almost showing the vulnerability through that. And you mentioned that you've journaled a lot and that you've allowed yourself to write from a place of inspiration as opposed to a place of pressure. How do you feel Liar Liar came about in that aspect?
Well, I got my heart broken really badly. And it was, I think sometimes you're not given opportunity as well to kind of say your piece or to resolve it with that person.
I can relate.
So I think for me, it was my opportunity though. Yeah, I'm heartbroken, but I'm going to say my piece sort of thing. It was more for myself, really. His part was kind of less significant at the grand scheme of things. It was more about kind of processing those feelings and be like, yeah, you know, you've broken my heart, you've done all this stuff, but I do know my worth. Yeah. And maybe I am a bit more fragile now, but I'm going to bring the sass. I'm going to bring the rocky kind of edge to it and remind myself of the strength that we do have.
Yeah.
And I think a big part of that song, but generally as a concept for the EP, which is called Warrior Heart, is vulnerability as a strength.
Right.
That was kind of huge for me. I don't know about you, but often, you know, you're kind of brought up, or society sort of says, you know, you got to be tough, you got to tough things out, and we don't often allow ourselves to feel that stuff and be like, you know, it's okay to feel so much. You know, I think the balance is obviously allowing yourself to move through it and let it go, because if you hold on to it, obviously that's not good either. But I think that's something I really wanted to champion, that vulnerability is a strength, and also a lot of amazing things can come. Like, those songs came from a really difficult time, but thankfully I was able to transmute that into something that you know, that is my music and it is part of my music journey, and that I'm really proud of.
And such a beautiful message. Even the title of that EP, Warrior Heart, like, and you said it's allowing yourself to be vulnerable but with the strength.
Yeah.
And I think it's so important. It's something that I also talk about heavily, because I also believe that being emotional requires a lot of strength, and being able to regulate those emotions and be able to put yourself out into the world and essentially be raw with your lyrics, which is what you were doing there in Liar Liar. I think it's so important, and I love that you're wearing your heart on your sleeve and you're not allowing that heartbreak to mold you as a person. And you did bring that sass and you got the rock chords in there, because I'm a bit of a music nerd, and I was loving the chord progressions in that song Liar Liar. How did that come about?
So I worked with a producer on the song, but initially it was Liar Liar, the main kind of part of the chorus was just in my head on like repetition.
Yeah.
I think I wrote most of it while I was like in the bath or something. It just of just came when I was kind of chilled and relaxed.
Inspiration strike whenever it
yeah,
did.
whenever. You can't help it. Need a notepad everywhere.
Exactly.
But it was, so the vocal melodies came. I was, you know, doing a lot of gobbledygooky as you do.
Yes.
So I think the vocal melody for that one came first, and I knew what I wanted it obviously to be about, and loved Jeff Buckley. So the second verse has some nuances to that, and also Jeff Buckley was introduced to me by my ex, so it was kind of a way of me kind of taking Jeff Buckley as mine and putting him into the second verse. So the one thing that I do like about Liar Liar particularly is that there's all these little things that maybe for me, I guess, is like my little secret little thing that I kind of know, all these little nuances that are very personal, and so when I sing it, it does feel although, you know, obviously thankfully healed and moved past that, but I'm able to still get in touch with the essence of the song. And a lot of my first like big inspirations was, you know, Aretha's and the Etta James, all the big soul singers who literally it was their heart on the stage, you know, so raw. And so I think that's because of all that. That's what I love, and I hope that it is infused in my own music.
Yeah, it's regaining your power through, like you say, taking Jeff Buckley and like being like, no, I'm going to show you how great I am. And here's Liar Liar. Right, I'm really excited for the next song, and we've got Rise.
When he found me, I was beaten down. Life's unexpected turns had me going round and round. And I wondered if I'll make it through. White flag at my fingertips, so close to losing. And you told me, now stand up tall, don't be ashamed. Sometimes we are gonna fall. When we stumble, just take a breath. It's okay not to be okay. Life's not a test, and you will rise again, and you will rise again. When he told me that I'm not enough, I didn't make the grade, and that he was giving up. Though the tears fell and my heart was bruised, something fired up in me. He's the one that's losing. And I told myself, now stand up tall, don't be ashamed. Sometimes we are gonna fall, and we stumble. Just take a breath. It's okay not to be okay. Life's not a test, and I will rise again, and I will rise again. Every person has their light to shine. You gotta dig in deep, discover what's this gift of mine. And when you find it, well, then you're so no approval needed. You are what you're looking for. And then I told you, now stand up tall, don't be ashamed. Sometimes we are gonna fall, and when you stumble, just take a breath. It's okay not to be okay. Life's not a test, and we will rise again, and we will rise again, and you will rise again, and you will rise again.
The Alpha Sessions.
The one thing I love about Rise, which I believe you performed when I saw you at Amplify Her, the melody for me is super uplifting. And it kind of adds and builds onto you talking about being vulnerable. And you can definitely see you were intentional with the lyrics that you put there. What was your message behind Rise?
I think the big message was my mum was a huge inspiration for this one. So when you're going through that stuff, you know, you go to your mum for advice.
Yeah.
And she was very much like, you know, this is temporary. We have like a sort of phrase, a separate phrase like bambulina, which means like toughie, kind of like warrior.
Yes.
She was, I think, a warrior. So she was, you know, this is just temporary. It will pass, and you're going to get back to even better than you sort of were. So that was kind of the essence of Rise. And also, I think, while going through my own healing journey, I realised the power of shared experience.
Yes.
So for me at that time, I wanted to hear about other people who had sort of survived certain traumas and were out the other side. It gave me, I guess, a little bit more of a encouragement that, you know, this would sort of pass.
Yeah.
And I realised after then you get to a point where you're able to provide that for others. Once you've gone through that healing journey and got to a place that you've got through it, you're able to pass on that experience. I think that's the kind of the big message. It was, when I wrote it, it was more like for myself, my own little anthem that I needed. But after recording it and performing it, I realised that actually it's also a gift, hopefully, that I can give to others who maybe are struggling right now, and just to remind them that everything, the good and the bad, is temporary, and, you know, things will get better and you will, you know, rise again.
And I think, again, it's such a beautiful message, and I wanted to really ask that question because I myself would say I have a similar experience where it's when you're writing a song, it's really you're almost visualizing how you can give a gift to someone in order to help them get over those traumas, to get over the things that they've been through. And I could see that quite clearly with Rise. And it stuck with me because I've definitely been through the same sort of experiences of like heartbreak and trauma and so forth, that it's so beautiful that you can almost package that up and give it as a gift to someone. And yeah, I think you did it so well in that song. And I was obsessed with it.
Thank you.
I am obsessed with it. It's just such a beautiful
you. That
song.
means a lot to me because I think, as creatives, we have to be in our feelings because, to be able to create. And I feel it is so powerful. It's not an easy thing to kind of expose your wounds.
No.
But music is powerful, and it can sometimes give you strength where you don't feel you have any, just to feel heard or seen.
Yeah. I think you do a very good job of that. And
Thank you.
I'm super excited to hear the last song. So we've got Same Mistakes with Kat.
Even if the sun shine for 1,000 days, the black of night lives in me anyway. And I give and you take, while you live, while I break. Like a homeless man, I'm hungry and aching. But it's not sustenance that I'm craving. And you lie, and I leave. So you cry, and I believe. And I give and you take, while you live. Best. Somehow I always get drowned in, and I always make the same mistake. I always make the same mistake. I always make the same mistake. 'Cause I give and you take, while you live. I give and you take, and I give and you take, and I give and you take. Oh, 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 yeah.
The Alpha Sessions.
That was Same Mistake. I am obsessed with that song. That one's a bit more of an upbeat, has more of a groove, has a bit more of that 70s music vibe to it. And what was your inspiration for that song?
So Same Mistake actually was written before the EP. It's one of my older tracks.
Yeah.
And I reintroduced it back into the set and just really enjoyed playing it, especially sort of with Joe. We had like really great energy and chemistry playing that. So that came about, I wrote that probably maybe like my early 20s maybe. And it's that thing of when you kind of know that you need to stop doing that thing.
Yes. Yes.
But you keep on doing it. I think when I wrote it, that was the initial thing. I think as it has evolved again through performing it and my own experience as a human, and going through life. Also, the importance of reciprocity, in relationships, whether that is with a partner or friends or family. You have to sort of fill your cup too. You can't continuously give and give and give because that's detrimental to sort of you and to everyone. So it's kind of about boundaries and kind of, I guess the song is at that moment where you kind of know you need to do those boundaries, but you're not quite ready yet.
Yeah.
You're not quite ready to to do that. So you're still making the same mistake, but yeah.
I think it's also, I mean, I spoke about this as well. It's like getting over the people-pleasing aspect when you're trying to put those boundaries back into place. And it's so difficult to, I suppose, unlearn it and just put yourself first. But we're all human. Yeah. So it's like we're not going to be perfect when it comes to trying to...
And that's okay, right?
Yeah.
That's okay. I think that's important to say as well. Like, nobody is perfect. We're all learning continuously and hopefully becoming better versions of ourselves. Kind of that's the goal, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's really interesting that you said you wrote that in your 20s, because you have this song where you're saying you're wanting to put the boundaries in place, but you're making the same sort of mistakes. But then you have songs like Liar Liar, where you're like, no, I'm giving the sass. And
I'm finally learning to do that.
And it's what I really am like curious about is, how do you feel over the years? Because you say you have been in music or like pursuing music for 20 years, how you've healed or how you found your songs and your music beneficial to your healing.
I think it was huge, really. It was, I guess I've always been sort of a person who's kind of dealt with my problems myself, for the most part, like always trying to find that way, not really wanting to go and burden others, although and I guess realising that actually that's super important, that sometimes you really need that to be able to talk to someone else, even just feel heard again, sort of thing. And I think that was a huge step for me in putting, and it felt very exposing initially to write that, because although I've always written from experiences, this was like it felt really raw, like writing about that period of my life. And I remember when I first did Rise, when the first time I ever performed it, I think maybe I only got through the verse before I was just overwhelmed by the emotion. Yes. But it's definitely just writing it and also performing it, I think, and receiving the reaction from the audience when it has meant something to them. I think that has also been huge in my healing, realizing that, okay, like bad stuff can happen and we can have these challenges, but like kind of really embracing those wins and realizing that, okay, it's part of the process. It's part of the process. I wouldn't be who I am now had I not gone through that.
Right. And I think you can definitely see that. And I love artists that are able to be honest and vulnerable, and you can clearly see that through your songwriting, through the way you perform, and as I said, you really feel the words that you're singing. I think that's so powerful when you're able to articulate that, if it's like with the vocal control, the inflections, just the way in which you're choosing like chord progressions and how you're writing. I think it's so beautiful, and I'm really curious to find out, what's your favourite part of music? Do you find it's the writing, the recording, or the performing?
I think performing, hands down, is got to be my favourite part. After all the hard work, I guess. After all the hard work, especially when it's your own stuff, and being at that point and being able to share it. So I think for me, that's always going to be the favourite part. But I do love the writing, although it's always a bit uncomfortable at the beginning. You've got that blank page. But when it does start to come together, I'm sure for you as well, when it in a way like the dust kind of goes in a way, and you start to really see the framework of your song. I love that part where you're like, okay, I've found it, like I've dug enough, and now I've got the foundations of that song. I love that part as well.
Which song of yours do you feel like you were most proud of when you were looking into the foundations of it?
Oh wow, I think Warrior Heart.
Yeah.
Which is the title track of the EP.
Is that on all streaming platforms?
Not yet.
Not yet.
No.
Okay.
So I've released 2 songs so far from the EP, and I've still got another 3.
Okay.
The Warrior Heart's going to be the last one, so it'll be the 5th single, and it'll drop with the EP. I think that one, it kind of epitomised what the EP was about. I had the title long before I ever wrote the song.
I sometimes think it's so much more beneficial to have the titles and just to write down the concepts, because as you were talking about before, giving yourself the space to breathe, to have that inspiration with just being like, right, this is the concept I want to talk about. What perspective do I actually want to challenge this from? And sometimes it does take a few months where you're like sat with that name and you're going, right, how do I make sure I tackle this in a way to get to that foundation, to get to the right message? Because it's so easy to kind of get tunnel vision with writing sometimes, and almost getting writer's block and thinking, oh, I really want to make a heartbreak song, but then you're like, well, actually, what does heartbreak mean to me? And it can be like, oh, I just really want to like throw dirt on someone's name, or it could be like, no, I actually want to take the time to heal and process
depending on what mood you're in.
Exactly. So, I mean, I think it is beneficial sometimes to just like sit and allow the song to kind of ruminate, and give yourself space as an artist, because we can kind of rush things, and it really does need time to kind of almost grow in its own way.
I think it was really helpful having that at the beginning. It kind of grounded the project, and just the songs are kind of different sides of it, come from different sides of it. I think with Warrior Heart, it was I remember it was the last song that I recorded from the EP. I had the session booked, and I think the day before I still hadn't written it. Before the session,
I've done that before.
I still hadn't written it. I knew that, and I was like, okay, what am I going to do? Try not to panic. But I remember on that day, it was I think it was I think maybe it was when I decided I signed divorce papers or something like that. Okay. So it was on quite an emotional day for me, and the concept came. I remember it came. I was obviously really upset. And just thinking, like, how is my heart still like beating when I'm feeling like so overwhelmed and so like heartbroken about this situation and sort of where I'm at. And it was like, while going through all that, feeling that, it was like a little light bulb went off, and that was like, well, that's what Warrior Heart is. It's kind of feeling all that stuff, being vulnerable, being in a difficult place, but finding your fighter spirit. And then I just went and wrote it. It literally just sort of like came out of me. I didn't have to reach for it.
No.
And had it, thankfully, for the recording session the next day. But so I think trusting yourself as an artist is huge as well. I think that's something we have to, like, all of us that have to work on, because often there's so much around us, so much noise. And it's easy to get dejected sometimes, or there's a lot of rejection in our chosen profession, and just trusting that you are enough and you are capable, and then seeing what happens from that place.
When do you feel like you develop that trust in yourself, and what advice would you give to any new artists or just any artist in general that's coming up in music?
I think the first thing is it's not linear, so it's not like you reach it
Yeah.
and then you're like, yeah, I'm alright.
I've passed myself. The world is great again.
Yeah, I think it's kind of accepting that it's gonna be a little bit sometimes roller coaster, and sometimes you're gonna be like, no one can faze me or nothing can faze me. And I think it's just at the root, championing yourself, really, and just sort of honouring the stuff that you have accomplished. I think often it's like what you've got to do, or what haven't I done, or this is where I want to go, and we forget actually just stop for a second and think, okay, well, what have I done to get to like this point? That's like so cool, that's amazing. And I think sometimes reframing is what we need, I would say sometimes, and just appreciating where you are at that point, and that it's fine. Like, again, take that pressure off and just allow yourself to be sometimes.
And I think something I found really important is practicing gratitude and just being grateful for the moments that I have today and all the achievements that I have had so far, because I think we all, not just musicians, just human in general, we all have this like big picture idea, and it's like until we've achieved that, we can't be good enough. And I think it's so important to practice gratitude, like you say, and it's almost just championing yourself.
That was huge in my healing, actually. I did my gratitude, I need to get back to it, but at that time I was doing it every day. So I'm writing the 10 things that I felt grateful for, and sometimes it could literally just be like really small little things, like, I'm alive today, or like, for this really nice coffee I had. Like, it can be that simple, but it's just something that's maybe brought you joy, or that you are grateful for, or that great conversation that I had with my sister, something like that. Just reminding yourself of the good stuff,
Definitely. Well, I want to finish off by asking, what's one thing you're grateful for as an artist? And then lastly, let's champion you, Kat. Let's hear more about what you've going on in the future, if there's anything exciting we should be listening out for on your streaming platforms, social media, anything you're doing.
Well, first, I'm really grateful for opportunities like this, just to be able to talk about like my songs and the process and the meanings behind that. There's not often like opportunities like that, I think, to really kind of get behind the songs. So, and to meeting all you lovelies and having me on here. So I'm super grateful for that. In terms of what's coming up, I'm preparing for the next release, which is going to be one-man show. So bringing the sax for this one as well. And had a lot of fun doing the music video, so I'd definitely say.
I'm excited. I'm such a visual
when
person.
It's ready. So am I. I always have like, because I've got a bit of an acting background, the music videos, it's always I want to like do like a little mini film.
Can we get a little teaser of what's to come?
Let's just say I get in trouble with the law.
Okay, so we've all got to tune in for that and see what.
I'm really excited for that one, for the video to come out and for when that gets officially sort of released. So that's kind of the next kind of milestone, and I'll want to do like a gig around that, sort of a launch gig for that. So at the minute, sort of behind the scenes kind of work, just preparing things and getting things ready for that next milestone.
I'm excited to see what you've got coming. So that was, what's the name?
One Man Show will be the next
One Man Show, guys. So everyone look out for One Man Show by Kat. Kat, it's been amazing to talk to you today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you. I just want to say I feel very grateful to have been able to sit across the table to you and talk about you and like your healing journey, and also delve deeper into like your songs and just talk about vulnerability and really see you shining and taking that and owning your own strength. And you definitely hear that within all your songs which you've performed today, and that was Lie Lie Arise and Same Mistake. So thank you so much for sharing your message.
Thank you so much. And all the news and stuff and the new releases are all my socials at Cat's Music as well. So if you wanna keep in the cat loop.
Yeah, I love that. Cat loop. You should put that in like your bio or like your tagline.
Okay.
Or like when you're doing a show.
See, inspiration hits
Yeah, exactly.
You never know when it'll hit.
Stay in the cat loop. Or do you know those on Instagram you can make the little groups that people can jump in?
Oh, right, yeah.
There you go, the name of your group, Cat
Thank
Loop.
you. Thank you for that. All right, then.
There you go.
Let's do that.
Thank you very much,
Thank you so
Kat.
much for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
The Alpha Sessions.